Okay, let's dive into a trap that so many startups, so many product teams fall right into. We're talking about the hidden and, believe me, very real cost of moving too fast. This is a story about a super common mistake, so let's just get right into it.
So picture this. A startup has just launched. Everything seems to be going perfectly. The product is out there, people are actually using it, and the numbers, they're climbing. On paper, this is the dream start. And yet, under the surface, there's this weird, nagging feeling, a sense of instability. Even with all these great signs, the team just can't shake the feeling that the whole thing could just shatter. So what's really going on here?
Well, this brings us to our story. It looks like a huge success, but it's actually more of a cautionary tale. A story about how a really promising start can be built on a surprisingly shaky foundation.
From the outside, you'd see a company with a live product and growing traffic. I mean, all the metrics looked fantastic. But what you couldn't see were the deep structural problems that were about to cause a world of pain.
So where did all this fragility come from? Well, it all boiled down to one single decision, made way early in the process, a choice that basically set the stage for all the trouble that came later.
And here it is. The team made a very conscious trade-off. They put speed, getting to market at any cost, above structure. They chose to race to the finish line without building that solid, scalable foundation first. A classic dilemma, right? Sounds familiar.
And let's be really clear here. This wasn't a case of sloppy engineers or just bad code. No, it was a strategic choice. It was a deliberate bet that getting there first was more important than getting there right. And honestly, in that moment, it probably felt like the smartest move they could possibly make.
But every choice has a consequence. And that early bet on speed, it was kind of like taking out a loan. Sooner or later, the bill comes due, and it's time to pay up.
And this is what that cost looked like in the real world. First, the architecture just hit a wall. It couldn't handle the growth. Next up, all of the features were so tangled together that changing one little thing would break three others. They also found major SEO problems after they launched, which really hurt their growth. And maybe worst of all, their time was now spent just keeping the thing from falling apart instead of actually making it better.
Now, here's the crucial point. The system didn't blow up on day one. It worked for a little while. And that's what makes this kind of technical debt so incredibly dangerous. Because the consequences are delayed, that initial decision to go for speed feels like it was the right one. It feels like you got away with it.
So if we pull back from this one story, what's the big takeaway for all of us? What's the universal lesson we can learn here?
It really comes down to this. Moving fast doesn't make the hard work just disappear. It just kicks the can down the road. You aren't avoiding the cost of building a solid foundation, you're just deferring it. And just like any debt, it collects interest.
Now, of course, this doesn't mean speed is always a bad thing. Sometimes it's exactly what you need. The real key here is wisdom. It's about being deliberate, about understanding the trade-offs you're making. It's about knowing the difference between taking a smart, calculated risk and creating a crippling liability for your future self. So, as you start thinking about your next project, just pause and ask yourself this one question. At what point does your need for speed stop being an asset and start becoming a debt you can't afford to repay?